Teasing competence, delivering pain. If there was a Major League Soccer poster child for almost but not quite, it would be the Philadelphia Union. Since joining the league in 2010, this team has turned heartbreak into a science, teasing their fans with a taste test of success season after season, leaving them nothing but a legacy of failure. And to marvel at how a team can be so good at being so bad when it matters the most. Oddly enough, Philadelphia is one of the 10 largest metropolitan areas in the United States, so you may be wondering why they didn't just join the league all the way back in 1996. Going all the way back to the days of the NASL, the Philadelphia Atoms represented the state and actually won what was once called the Soccer Bowl in their first season all the way back in 1973. Fast forward to 1996. Major League Soccer opted away from placing an original team in Philly, but there were always efforts. The 2001 effort fell short due to the MetroStars holding the right to block a franchise in the region, and then in 2007 things started to pick up pace once again. The Sons of Ben supporter group were formed to show the league that there was already an eager audience and fan base already established. Hence, the Union would eventually be born. So much promise, committed fans, a small yet winning history. What could go wrong? The Philadelphia Union would play their first game in league history to the Seattle Sounders and lose 2-0 in 2010. Because why not start with a faceplant? They would eventually get the revenge on Seattle that season, however they would finish that first year 8-15-7, sitting comfortably in the basement of the East. 2011 was a notable year for the Union. Not only did they pick up a completely normal-sounding sponsor, Bimbo Bakeries, they also acquired a few key players, one being the former American wonder kid, Freddie Adu. Freddie is remembered mostly for his astonishing discovery of, if you don't actually work hard, you probably won't achieve. Crazy theory, right? Arguably one of the biggest overhyped players in Major League Soccer history. Some say the world was too hard on Freddie for his age. Some even question his age. But due to his work ethic, I think we weren't hard enough. Then, defying all of the odds, the Philadelphia Union would finish that season third in the East with a final record of 11-8-15, making the playoffs for the first time. Despite getting curb stomped by Houston in the postseason, they would enter the Hackworth's era. In hindsight, 2012 and 2013 can best be remembered as a pair of tire fires disguised as soccer seasons, finishing 15th overall in one and 14th overall in the following. Aside from making the semifinals in the 2012 US Open Cup, the only other memorable moment for Philadelphia as a city this season was the 2012 MLS All-Star game at Subaru Park, where the MLS All-Stars defeated Chelsea 3-2. Somehow the biggest accomplishment during this era for that stadium. 2014 brought a glimmer of hope to the Union fans. Trading allocation money in order to take the first overall pick was risky business, and thus would begin the tale of the Union's most prized all-time possession, Sir Andre Blake. A few other additions were made, the former Rookie of the Year Austin Barry being one of the biggest. Behind Hackworth and his new hopeful team, the tire fires from the previous seasons would now have fully burned out the rest of this sad vehicle. They would start the season winning only 2 of their first 14 games, ending the relationship between Old Hackworth and the Union. Another season, another missed postseason. At least you were runners-up for the Open Cup this year. Oddly enough, you'd have identical results in 2015 under Chicago Fire legend Jim Curtin, missing the playoffs and being runners-up once again in the US Open Cup. Besides making an absurd amount of moves in the summer transfer window and the MLS draft, they would actually start 2015 winning only 1 out of their first 10 games. 2016 was one of the most memorable years for Union fans. Not only did you bring in the Brazilian midfielder, Insigne, you would acquire U.S. international superstar, if you will, Bedoya. Andre Blake would win the 2016 MLS Goalkeeper of the Year award, and you'd finally see your club finish the regular season 11-14-9, securing 42 points. Their dreams of making the postseason came true. However, it was only moments before their dreams had turned to a nightmare, as they bent the knee to Toronto immediately, thus ending their season. Now, while their 11-14-9 record from the season wasn't necessarily ultra impressive, it got the job done and got them decently further than prior years. And just like Freddie Adu, the team felt they didn't need to work harder to improve because in 2017, they put up the exact same record. 11 14, 9. 42 points. The numbers repeating over and over again. What do they mean? What do they mean? Nothing. They mean nothing. Because that is what you get for being so mediocre. This season, those numbers did not get them into the postseason, and they left their Ben Franklin's blue-balled. In 2018, they knew they had needed to improve. They needed someone or something that could really pull this group of talented, misguided misfits together. So that's just what they did. Fang, the snake mascot. Laugh all you want, but they made the playoffs that season. Of course, the postseason ended abruptly, but hey, I think that's improvement. They would also become runners-up for the third time in 5 years for the US Open Cup. They built off this somewhat successful season and came back in 2019 even stronger, and in the summer were even sitting at the top of the East for a few moments there. This was arguably one of their best seasons, and they had found themselves in somewhat of a playoff run mindset. They defeated the Red Bulls and gave fans a glimmer of excellence, only to be beat down into the dirt in a crushing 2-0 loss against Atlanta. The pandemic season was something we can all remember as a bit bizarre. The Union reached the semifinal of the MLS's back tournament and would actually go on to win their first ever trophy as a club. The 2020 Supporters Shield belongs to Philadelphia, who also got their debut in the CONCACAF Champions League and first international victory. Things were looking up for the Union. 2021, they would finish second in the East, make the playoffs, actually win a playoff game, and go on to face New York City. It was then all hell broke loose. It was reported that 11 players, 6 being starters, had to undergo the league's COVID-19 protocol. This would cause them to lose to eventual Cup champions, NYCFC. Heartbreak in its purest form, finding new ways to disappoint your fans, this time with a said biohazard. But this team was different now. Instead of folding, they took that heartbreak and they molded it into what was the 2022 regular season, finishing first in the East and even winning against DC United to set a club record for largest goal differential. Not only would they make the playoffs, they would dismantle Cincinnati and get revenge on New York City, taking them to their first ever MLS Cup final. They had done it. They were proving people wrong, and they were standing with Liberty. If it wasn't for that sunny day in Los Angeles on November 5th, 2022, perhaps a gentle breeze would have healed the pain that would soon be arriving for the Union. LAFC won their first ever MLS Cup that day, but the Union did put up one hell of a fight. But just like every season of believing and dreaming for Philly, dreams die hard. The more time that passes by, it's becoming more and more clear that that was going to be the Philadelphia Union's best chance and effort at winning any kind of championship in the near future. Between the Champions League, Leagues Cup, and just the regular season, the Union seemed drained. The 2023 season, the Union seeked zero improvement. Finishing fourth in the East and making the postseason was a short-lived, yet unrewarding victory. Which would bring us to 2024, where they did not qualify for the playoffs and would have let their fans down once again in their worst season of the last few years. Aside from the raccoon on the field that season, there was nothing to smile at in 2024. Well, maybe aside the rise of Kevin Sullivan. While he may not be as hyped up as Freddie once was, he has shown nothing but positive qualities and constant improvements game in and game out. For the Union, he has potential to save your club, because the current state of this club is stale. Same players and same tactics. Your fan base is frustrated with the attack and lack of care from management. If there is one lesson we have learned in this video, it's if you don't strive to be better and work harder, eventually, you'll find yourself where the Union and Freddie Adu currently are.